Good morning all once again. So I'm Vijaya Hariharan. We have Arati Krishna with us. No voice is coming. Is my voice clear?
Yes.
Is my voice heard? Okay. Maybe if you can check your connection, please. So sit comfortably. Let's start the session with the prayer all together. Let the eyes be gently closed. Awareness on the breath for a few rounds. Let's start the session with 3 rounds of Omkara. Each time breathe in, breathe out, continue with the Om chanting. Palms together in Namaskara Mudra. Omkara and the Sahana Vavatu prayer all together. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gently bow down. Take the blessings from the God of your choice, a higher reality. May He protect us both. May He nourish us. May our study be fruitful. May there be no hatred in us. Om, peace, peace, peace. Namaste once again to all. Welcome to this session on Garbha Vidya. So here we will talk about.
You have to present it. You have to present it on the.
Arti, can you mute your audio? Can you mute your audio, please? Yeah. Namaste. Welcome all to this session on Garbha Vidya. So what is Garbha Vidya all about? So as per the Hindu culture and our tradition, we have been having a lot of importance on the time when the couple get married and the the ceremonies which happen, and also during when the lady conceives. So that time also you have different ceremonies happening, all for the welfare of the mother and the child. So, but over a period of time, maybe because of our the Western influence and we becoming more conscious of other factors than our culture has got somewhere left behind. And but why this concept has come up again? So we have seen that a lot of children, either when they are born, after maybe a couple of months or year, the parents feel that the child has a ADHD problem, or nowadays a lot of children have been diagnosed with autistic problem. So is this problem only after the childbirth that the child has, developed these problems, or is there something more to it behind? So what is being said is even the health of the mother is very important during the time of conception and even pre-conception stage also. So with that in mind, this introductory session on the golden period education has been, we have designed it and brought it forward towards you. This will also cover the Garbha Vidya program, will also cover the golden period education, which starts right from the time the couple who are married are planning to have a child, maybe later at the 1 month or 2 months, and then later during the pregnancy, and also once the child is born up to 2 years. So this program will cover the golden education period, as it is called, and also the yoga practices. Why yoga in that period? So I am Vijaya Hariharan from Yoga Bharati. I'm a yoga therapist. I've been teaching yoga for the last now 16 years, and also been doing pregnancy, prenatal yoga, postnatal for the last 10 years. And we have Aarti Krishna with us. Welcome, Aarti. So Aarti Krishna basically is an engineer by profession. Later, during her career, when she was in the UK for some years, she got to interact with the school there, which was basically for special needs children and also more of an inclusive community. So that also created an interest in her to be with the children. And then after shifting back to India, she's continued her career as a teacher, moving away from her engineering career. So she has been working as a teacher since 2009. So she also has more than 10 years of experience in teaching. She is also a music teacher. So, and then she's also connected with the Chinmaya mission, where she conducts Bal Vihar sessions. And because of their connection with the different children with different ages, her interest on why the children are suffering at such a young age made her more conscious of, wanting to know more about why this is happening. So that is what prompted her to do the Golden Period Education Program. And after that, she has also been conducting this program for couples and pregnant ladies also. So now this initiative, along with Yoga Bharati, where we will be conducting the Garbha Vidya program for those interested. So I hand over the session to Aarti so that she will also talk a little more about her journey on the Golden Period Education, and then share more of what the Golden Period Education is all about. So over to Aarti.
Thank you, Vijaya. A warm welcome to everybody. I am Aarti Krishna, and thank you, Vijaya ji, for the introduction. It's great to talk about this Garbha Vidya here. It's been there in our culture for such a long time, but like Vijaya ji said, we've somewhere lost it in the middle. And we will understand further why this is important, what kind of an impact it has. Having been in the education field for this long, there are what we have come to realize is a lot of these things matter, how it is done at the very early age of the child. What kind of environment, what kind of inputs the child gets at a very young age, and that young age, the initial years of the human being becomes very critical, and that's why this Garbha Vidya. So I will start with this, I would like to have the PPT presented, if that's okay. Prabhaji. So the moment we talk about Garbha Vidya, we will move on to the second slide, Prabhaji. So the moment we talk about Garbha Vidya, the first person that comes to our mind is Abhimanyu. We call it the Abhimanyu effect, because for those who might not know the story of Abhimanyu, I'll very quickly tell. Abhimanyu was the son of Arjuna, one of the Pandavas, and he became very famous for his feat on the during the Kurukshetra war, where the opponents, the Kauravas, had made a formation called the Chakravyuha, which was very unique, and very few people knew how to enter that formation, of which Arjuna was one, and Arjuna was not on the battlefield at that time, and hence Abhimanyu was the only other person who knew how to enter the Chakravyuha, and he went in and he fought very bravely. But though he had the knowledge of how to enter, he didn't know how to come out, and that is why he died, and that made him very famous also, the way he fought bravely inside, even though he knew he couldn't come out. Now, this was a knowledge Abhimanyu gained when he was in the womb of Subhadra, his mother. And Arjuna had, when Abhimanyu was in the womb of Subhadra, Arjuna had was briefing or explaining with enthusiasm to Subhadra how to enter the Chakravyuha, what is the tactic. And but by the time he could explain how to come out of the Chakravyuha, Subhadra had gone to sleep, and hence Abhimanyu knew how to get in and couldn't come out. So again, the next slide is, we have another story. We have actually many stories. Another story is about Prahalada. Now, Prahalada was born to Hiranyakashipu and Kayadu, who were both asuras. And in spite of being an asura child, he had deva quality within him. How did that happen? It was because Kayadu, during the pregnancy, when Hiranyakashipu had gone to do tapas to get a boon, Kayadu was in an ashram with Narada and other rishis. And in that environment, Narada gave knowledge to Prahalada while he was in the womb of his mother. So that is why, even though he had asura mothers, he had such deva qualities within him. So we have many such stories like Ashtavakra, and then even Rama. Rama's story is about how Dasharatha did a Putra Kameshti Yagna to have Rama. That was a preconception process that they went through at that point in time. So, our culture and our scriptures and itihasa is filled with stories of how, the pregnancy period, the conception period, and the preconception period are very critical, and learning that has happened during that phase has stayed throughout the life, and it has influenced the life of the people, of those humans. So, what happens with some of the factors which influence from these stories, what we understand is some of the factors that influence the well-being of the baby are the kshetra, basically the environment in which the baby is growing. What is the kind of setup? Who are the kind of people around? There is a difference in a child growing up in an orphanage or in a very nice setup at home with loving parents. That is the kshetra, the environment in which the baby grows. And then the well-being of the parents, how evolved, how physically healthy and mentally stable and emotionally evolved the parents are, and all those also matters. The parents' mental state, mental and physical health also matters as a factor of well-being for the child, and also the inputs that are given from the environment. The inputs could be whatever we hear, even whatever, whether we are watching TV, what are the kind of programs we are watching, and what are the kind of talks that happen around us. All these are going into the baby and are being received by the baby when the baby is in the womb. Now we may wonder, how does it happen? Modern science typically looked at this whole conception as a physical process, right? And or we may not have thought of it as to how is it that this baby in the womb can receive all this information. So the golden period is a period of 1,100 days of preconception, pregnancy and infancy, which is 100 days before conception, 280 days of pregnancy, and 720 days of infancy, which is up to 2 years, roughly, up to 2 years of infancy of the baby. Now, this is a period when the subconscious mind of the baby is dormant. So, the subconscious mind of the baby is directly accessible. Now, when the conscious mind is dormant and the subconscious mind is directly accessible, it is almost like a hypnotic state. So whatever feed happens, it goes directly to the subconscious mind without the filtration of the conscious mind. Now, in a hypnotic state and during this stage of the human life in the womb, the baby is making 40 million connections, neuronal connections per minute, while in the waking state, typically, this is a deep sleep state. And in a waking state, typically 40 connections per minute is what is happening for us. So you can imagine the difference in amount of learning that is happening during this phase and when we grow later, when we move beyond this phase. 40 connections per minute against 40 million connections per minute. Now, when we say 40 million connections per minute, it is the baby is absorbing constantly. The subconscious mind is like a sponge, constantly absorbing from everything around, whether you give it something or you don't give anything. So it is a period, it becomes a period of high adaptability or high vulnerability. Because the kind of inputs that the baby is getting during this period is constructive, then it will have a life of adaptability. If the baby is receiving inputs which are not very conducive and probably destructive, it will lead to a life of vulnerability. And hence, being conscious and aware during this phase becomes very, very important. And what kind of feed and how to modulate that feed during this period becomes very essential for the baby's life itself. Whatever feed that baby gets during the neuronal connections stay for life. Our culture also has the Shodasha Samskara is very popular. Today it is done, many of it is still done. It starts from the preconception phase when, at the time of marriage, the Garbhadhana is done to set the intention to have a baby, right up to Antyeshti, the final rituals. And in between, there are so many stages that a human being goes through that all of those are celebrated. Simantonayana, Jatakarna, Namakarna, Annaprashna, all of these fall under the Shodasha Samskaras. And if you look at Shodasha is 16, there are 16 Samskaras. And of all these 16 Samskaras, almost the first 9 of them fall within the golden period. That is from the period of preconception to the about 2 years or 3 years of age. So 9 of the 16 samskaras fall during this period, during this 1100 days period. And the 7 other samskaras are for the rest of the life. So you can understand how our culture, how the Indian culture has considered this period to be a very, very crucial period for learning of the human being. But today, even World Health Organization and other organizations have started identifying prenatal education as a crucial need today. And the reasons are that today, one of the reason is, that we all know our air is polluted, our soil is polluted, our water is polluted, the food that we eat is polluted, and so many toxins are constantly entering into our bodies. And in very, very, very small quantities, they are slowly and steadily also seeping into our genes. And when these in very micro quantities start seeping into our genes, the genes genetic makeup changes and is causing a lot of disorders. Today we see a lot of cases of ADHD, autism, and all these they have identified as connected with this kind of toxicology and because of stress. The disorders are increasing. Stress, we have a fast-paced life today. We have more nuclear families where people have to do everything by themselves. And also when there is nobody to guide you, there is that much more stress in being responsible for everything. Even the child, you don't have somebody beside you for moral support. and all because of the change in the way the living is happening today, it is affecting the immune system of the child, causing genetic disorders, and also the pregnancy and conception, the delivery and conception, all of these phases, the human beings are going through trouble. It's not happening very smoothly. And hence, the prenatal education, we can move on to the next slide. And hence the prenatal education is being promoted majorly. There is something called a nurturing care framework that the WHO, UNICEF, and the World Bank came up together and has put up a framework of what the guidelines of how what should be done during early childhood development during this golden period. And they have identified an age up to 8 years when it is very crucial to give the right kind of inputs to the child and the mother, to take care of the mother, parents, in fact, and the child. And as part of this, 48 member countries have signed this nature care framework, and India is also one of them. And it is showing in the latest education policy, they have a lot of these guidelines incorporated for the early education. It still has to convert into implementation. And so it is just, we just have to be aware, and there are smaller groups which are coming up and doing this prenatal education, and we just need to be aware and spread the word around. So as even though as part of Yoga Bharati, what we are providing right now is the preconception education and pregnancy education. These are the two areas we are taking care of. Now we can move on. So now, like Vijayaji said, there are two parts to this education that is being given as part of Yoga Bharati. One is the golden period education and another is the yoga. I will cover what is being done as part of the golden period education. Now, golden period education is based on two scriptures. One is the Garbhopanishad. Garbhopanishad is a scripture written by Sage Pippalada. He has written other Upanishads also, like the Prashna Upanishad and all. And Garbhopanishad has a total of 16 shlokas. It's a very small Upanishad, but like they say, our Upanishads have to be cracked. We humans are the key to unlock the cryptic messages of the Garbhopanishad. And so there are 16 shlokas which talk about the whole preconception, conception, and pregnancy, the journey that happens, the process that happens through there. And this is not done only physically. It's not only about the physical changes that happen in the body or the physical development that happen within the body, but it also talks about the metaphysical. It's a much more holistic view of this whole process of conception to pregnancy to childbirth. And similarly, there is another treatise that we base all the golden period education on, and that is the Garbha Gita. The Garbha Gita is a Shruti Gita, in the sense it's actually been written down, but it is a Gita that was passed on through word in the Shivanetra lineage. And this is a conversation between goddess Parvati and her son Skanda, Muruga Kartikeya. When Lord Skanda was in the womb, there is a conversation that is happening between Lord Skanda and Devi Parvati, and that is a part of Garbha Gita. And the golden period education happens as part of this. So, the preconception, once we know what is the preconception process, what happens as part of it, there is a better understanding of this whole, awareness. The parent is more aware and hence a little more confident about how to take the whole, deal with the changes, the bodily changes that happen The Garbhopanishad, I will just talk about one of the shlokas that is there in the Garbhopanishad, just to bring out the beauty of it. And this is something that also correlates with what has been discovered by modern science today, and hence I'm taking this shloka. It says, Rutukale samprayogat yogat ratroshitam kalilam bhavati. Saptaratroshitam budbudam bhavati. Ardhamasabhyantarena pindo bhavati. Masabhyantarena katino bhavati. So basically it says, Rutukale samprayogat ekaratroshitam kalilam bhavati, which means one night after the sperm and the ovum come together, for one night, it is in the state of kalilam. Kalilam means kind of semi-fluid state. It is in the semi-fluid state. Saptaratro-shitam budbudam bhavati. After 7 or by 7 nights, it becomes budbuda, almost like bubbly. You know, it's a little like bubbles. And ardhamasa bhyantarena, after half a month, pindo bhavati, it starts forming into a solid mass, and masa bhyantarena katino bhavati. In a month, it becomes hardened, a little more solidified. So if you look at this next slide, I have got some pictures, latest pictures which have been taken. And this stage, the first stage is called the oocyte, which is when the sperm and the ovum have come together. The first stage is called the oocyte, and if you look at it, it is in a semi-fluid state. And according to modern science, in 6 days, it grows to the second stage, which is that blastocyst morula. That is the budbudam. If you can look at it, it does look a little bubbly. And after a month, the third image that is there, the third image, it shows that it's almost a 1-month-old baby, which is, it has formed into a solid mass and is, there is a mass. So this is just beautiful that, what is being discovered by modern science has been discovered so hundreds and hundreds of years back by our rishis, probably even thousands by our rishis. It kind of gives us confidence. And what the Garbhopanishad is talking about is a lot more than just the physical features and changes that that the baby goes through. So to give you a brief, some of the things that we do as part of this Garbha Vidya, when somebody comes and wants to take up the Garbha Vidya, there are some chants which are told, and then we chant that are taught, which are good for the baby, to keep the baby safe. And also what this does, basically, all of this is aimed, the objective of this whole exercise is to bring more confidence for better maternal health. And the factors behind better maternal health are a healthy physical health, more emotional stability, and being able to handle oneself. Also confidence. When we understand the process, there is a general confidence in the whole process, and hence the delivery and the pregnancy and the final birthing process becomes a lot more smoother when the emotional aspects and the physical aspects of the mother is handled. It becomes a lot more smoother. And in fact, the father also plays a very, very huge role. Even modern science establishes this through something called a Coué effect, where the father's mind also influences the baby as much as the mother's mind influences the baby. The state of mind that the mother and father are in or have during this period heavily influences the child. And the other aspect of the Garbha Vidya, one is for the well-being of the mother. So through the well-being of the mother, the child's well-being is addressed. And the other aspect of it is to give direct for the child's well-being, directly for the child's well-being, which we will see as a next activity through the Garbha Gita, where the child's well-being is handled, and hence the child also influences the parents for his own learning. So there is a two-way process between the parent and the child happening. The parent's influence on the child and the child's influence on the parent. So as a part of these activities, we do some chants. There are knowledge sessions on the human life journey, preconception process, conception process, and pregnancy process. We do something called the Garbha Gita meditation, which is based on the Garbha Gita. And we have mandala meditation. Mandalas are sacred geometries, and which can have, which can directly, it's a meditative process which can have a very deep and symmetry, bring symmetry to our subconscious mind, and connecting with nature, and handling our emotions through Navarasa Sadhana. So next I will take you through Garbha Gita meditation. I think it will be nice to experience, though there is a lot of information, one experience will be good, and hence I'd like you all to take your positions. I actually also, we typically play a music, but something just went wrong with my computer, and hence I don't have the music right now, but we will still try and be with ourselves. Please close your eyes, take a comfortable position. Breathe in. Take a few deep breaths. Imagine yourself relaxing. Feel your face relaxing, facial muscles relaxing. Your shoulders relaxing. Your whole body is feeling light. Keep your focus on your breath. Listen to the sounds around you. And slowly bring back your attention to your breath. I will read the Garbha Gita. Listen to it very carefully. The first unit of the Garbha Gita says, I am a human being. This means that I am a combination of different energy frequencies acting as a unit. Now, this is a conversation between the child and the mother. Child: Ma, are you there? Ma: oh, my blessed child, I'm always here for you. Are you comfortable, baby? Yes, Ma. It's nice and cozy. I can feel your warmth, your heartbeat, your voice, and your breath every instant. Ma, I wish to know, will you please enlighten me as my teacher? Sure, my learner baby. I know that you are keen and curious. Please ask all that you desire to know. I'm here to comfort and give you all that I have. Ma, what is the place of a human being in the world? my divine child, we are a part of this beautiful creation called the universe. There are many things here, wide and small galaxies, shining stars, revolving planets and comets, the sun and moon which light up our earth. Earth is a part of the universe and this is our home. And we call it the world. There are many living creatures and things that exist in our world. These include small and big plants, domestic and wild animals, birds, fish, insects. We also have rugged mountains, flowing rivers, and much more in this creation. However, the entire universe is sentient, just the same way as a human being, we are part of and present in this wonderful creation. But the most unique in all creation is human being. It's so wonderful to hear that, Ma. Can you please tell me more about the uniqueness of human beings? Human beings have more abilities and faculties than all other creatures found in nature. Human beings also live together in societies and communities, which are collectively called humanity. What sets us apart, though, is that we human beings live on earth as part of nature, but each one of us is also intrinsically aware that I am a part of this whole creation of the universe itself. Ma, I am now truly curious. How do we get to know that we are human beings? My beautiful child, this is the knowledge we innately possess. Each one of us individually just knows this. Nobody teaches this to us. Each one of us know in our hearts that I am a human being, I am a part of nature and the universe. Indeed, this knowledge is instilled in from our very birth. Oh, wow. Ma, what are we human beings made of? My child, that is another fascinating aspect. Human beings have a physical body. The body is made up of organs and tissues. These, in turn, are made up of cells. Now, my baby, rest well. You will grow into a complete human. There is a lot more to learn. Ma, I'm so happy to hear this. I'm grateful to you for being with me and sharing. Thank you for blessing me with this learning. My child divine, let there be sanctity, grace, and peace for all. Please continue to stay in this state and absorb all that you have just heard. The baby in the womb is a sentient being, a conscious, learning being. Whenever you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. It is said that when there is physical evolution of a human being, when we take care of our physical aspect, we have control over about 20% of our life and destiny. When we have control over our emotions and intellect, we have control over our life, about 50% of our life and destiny. And when we have control over our life energy, we have control over our life and destiny 100%. with that, that was the golden period education. And now Vijayaji will present the yoga part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Aarti, for taking us through the golden period education and what are the activities that we do in that period. As we see, both the golden period education and the yoga education have the basis on our ancient literature. The Vedas, the Upanishads, and the Puranas. Like Aarti said, we have examples. We have examples in the Puranas and the epics about how Aarti said the story of Abhimanyu, Prahalada, and a lot more others, which tell us that yes, the baby in the womb is also a living being who can hear us. One second, I think my voice is clear, or is there some disturbance?
There is some disturbance, Vijayaji, slightly.
Okay, one second, hold on then.
That is what the ancient scriptures has told us. And I would like to share something from the Garbha Upanishad, which Aarti said is the basis of our learning and the textual references. So what is being said is when the baby is in the womb, it is very well protected, in the mother's womb. And it says that the baby is all the time learning in the womb. So here a beautiful story in the Garbha Upanishad, it says that the God is there. God also is there with the child, telling him that he is part of the universal consciousness. So he gives the child the mantra Soham, Soham. Soham is I am that. Okay. So the child in the womb knows that I am that. He is part of that universal consciousness. But when at the time of delivery, when it comes out, the child is crying, correct? So at that time he loses that awareness. The child comes out crying. So it seems at that time the child is asking, Poham, Poham, who am I? Who am I? So the knowledge of that he was that original part of the individual universal consciousness is lost. So that is again why all these learnings are important, so that we ourselves understand that we are part of that universal consciousness. And also here I would also like to quote research which is being done. And I think in this stage I would like to thank my teachers from S. Vyasa Yoga University, Dr. Nagendra, Dr. Nagaratna, Raghuramji, who is a mentor in Yoga Bharati, as well as Dr. Shamanta Kamani for guiding us through this prenatal education, what yoga is all about and how yoga is done in the prenatal stage and also the postnatal stage. So during the research, what is being found is that the fetus in the womb should be considered as a child in a different classroom. The child is all the time learning, but it is in a different classroom. And what is being said is the fetus is safe, far more sensitive and sensible that we can ever imagine, with an ability to learn and respond. The fetus also learns and responds when it is in the womb. Okay? And any sound stimulus repeated when the fetus is in the mother's womb helps to build memory banks for greater facility for future years. So that is all kept in the mind as samskaras. These are all in the mind of an individual as samskaras. So with that, I would like to share a few of my such slides. But I think my video will be off when I share this slide. But you can hear me still. Yeah, I hope you can see the slides. So we'll see how is the role of yoga in pregnancy, how yoga helps. So here when we say yoga, you also have the theory behind what yoga is all about, the practice of yoga and the application of yoga. So one beautiful definition of yoga, it says that yoga mana prashamana upayah. Yoga is the solution to calm down the mind. Yeah, the mind is always chanchal. And during the preconception, pregnancy stage also, we are always in a doubt, right? As to how am I healthy? And is my child in the womb healthy? All that questions which come in the mind. So they say yoga is a tool or upaya to calm down the mind. So when the mind is calm, automatically the ability to learn, ability to be more open is there. It says that yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yeah, yoga. It says that whatever activity we do, we have to be in sync with that activity. Correct? The mind has to be fully in support of the activity that we are doing. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yeah, you're doing an activity, but the mind is restless. You are again agitated when you're doing that activity. All that again tells on the activity also that you are doing. So that is also a beautiful definition of yoga. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Then in the yoga practice, you have your asana, pranayama. You have your relaxation technique, diet. You have your mantra yoga chanting and different mudras that we teach as part of the yoga practices in pregnancy, as well as pregnancy. When we say pregnancy, it is also the pre-conception stage also, during pregnancy, and then also post-pregnancy, we also guide the participant what are the practices that they can safely do from the after the week of pregnancy, certain pranayama practices. So your asana, pranayama, relaxation, all these practices are helping you to calm down, helping you to be more aware, more mindful. Yeah, so that when you're more aware, more mindful, you do your activity in a better way. And then diet also plays a very important role right from through your pregnancy, post-pregnancy. Yeah, so and in yoga, what is being said is moderation in diet and a balanced diet helps. So we will see more of that when we do the sessions with the participants. And different mudras also helps. Mudra, as the name suggests, comes from the word mud, which means the joy. Yeah, so it is the joy within that you feel, that you can feel. Joy is not something which we get from outside, getting an object or being with a person. It says that joy is always there within us. And we recognize this inner joy. And mudras are different mudras. You have asana mudra, you have for pranayama, you have different mudras that you use. You have hasta mudras. And I think those who are into dance also know that in dance also you use different mudras. So mudras basically bring out that joy within us. Now it's very important that during the pregnancy, you have a positive thinking and optimism throughout your pregnancy. Like Aarti mentioned, stress also plays a very significant part, and stress also is one of the cause. Yes, all of us have stress to some extent or the other, but how do we manage the stress is very important. So it's very important that during your pregnancy, you are happy, healthy. As you say that the child in the womb is always learning, yeah? So it's very important that the environment that we are in is a joyful environment, it's healthy. Yeah, so exercise is very important so that it helps to release the physical and mental tension. And yoga exercises help in that. Simple stretches over a period of time helps to ensure that your pelvic floor muscles are strengthened, your back is strengthened, you don't have back pain. Yeah, and also over a period of time, lung capacity improves so that during your pregnancy, you don't have much of a complication or issues. A lot of relaxation techniques that we do to calm down during that and practices. And a lot of times what happens is in pregnancy or later stages of pregnancy, sometimes the mother experiences high BP, sudden high BP, or sudden gestational diabetes. And in certain other, like say some of them, if they are working and full day sitting and working, some complication like back pain, or because of the, as the baby in the womb increases in size, the pressure on the lungs are there, so she feels the little breathlessness over a period of time. So all these can be taken care of by the yoga practices, relaxation, and also getting the knowledge from the Garbha Vidya. So when we talk about yoga philosophy, these are some of the philosophies that we will be talking about and discussing in length during the course of the practice and during the course of the course. So first thing is the Panchakosha concept. It says that the body is just not the physical body that we see. It's much more than the physical body, but we give so much of importance to the physical body that we need to look good, yeah, but we ignore the other aspects of it. So it says that the body has the physical component which is called the Annamaya Kosha. Then you have the Pranamaya Kosha. The Annamaya Kosha is there, but without the prana, the Annamaya Kosha cannot function or work. So the next stage is the Pranamaya Kosha. Then you have the Manomaya Kosha, the mind level, the Jnanamaya Kosha, the intellect level, and the Anandamaya Kosha. Anandamaya Kosha is the bliss state, where we recognize that we are that bliss. The bliss is there inside us, and we function from that knowledge. So when we function from the knowledge that we are that bliss, whatever we do comes out, it's like a joy. You don't feel that tension, you don't feel the stress of doing any work. And then you have the Ashtanga Yoga concept, where we follow the sage Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga concept, where it's the 8 different steps in your yoga practice, finally leading to that Ananda stage, where you have your Yama Niyama practices, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, meditation. Yeah, so these are the different Ashtanga Yoga practices. And then we also have these 4 streams of yoga. Very important, because what is being said is right from the time we wake up in the morning till we go to bed, we do different activities. But during all these different activities, are we calm? Are we relaxed while doing the activity? No, sometimes we are in the stress. Sometimes we get agitated. Sometimes there is anxious movements. So if you know the different parts of yoga, it says that helps you to balance all the activities that you're doing. So the path of Karma Yoga, which tells you how do you work, how your attitude should be to work. Then through the path of Bhakti, Bhakti is all about devotion, love. Yeah, as a human being, we are that love. So can we spread that love around? So that is what all the Bhakti Yoga concept is all about. Then you have Jnana Yoga, the knowledge, which is very important. So as part of the yoga education, you have the yoga philosophy, the Garbha Yoga, the golden period education, where you get the different knowledge of the yoga practice. Then you have the Raja Yoga, where you have which comes under the Ashtanga Yoga practices. So when we say the different streams of yoga, the Ashtanga Yoga practice, you have different, at each level you have different practices. So you will notice that whatever work we do, we can do it with that concept of yoga in the mind. What is that concept of yoga? Just being calm within ourselves and then continuing your work. And when we say that we are doing all this, we follow the integrated approach to the yoga practice. So if you have any doubt in all this, you can just make a note of it, and at the end we'll have around 10 to 15 minutes where you can ask questions. We'll have question answer sessions. So the next is the postnatal care. Yeah, so during the pregnancy stage also, we also guide the mother and the father also as to how the delivery can be a smooth and a natural delivery. So how the breathing should be at the time of delivery, all that is taught. And then also the importance of breastfeeding is you have some mothers feel that postpartum depression. So how does yoga help? When yoga, the definition of yoga itself says that yoga is mana prashamana. It helps you to calm down. It helps you to slow down. So that helps you, to ensure that you're even postnatal also you are at that calm state. You feel that peace, that joy inside. And then yes, for the recovery, you have certain, again, asanas, simple stretches which you can safely do right from, I said, if it's a normal delivery, you can do it right from after the first week of your delivery, start doing the practice. Even actually from the second day itself, you can start doing a simple pranayama and other practices. So this was some of the overall view about what yoga is and how yoga helps. So with that, I will end my slide here. So thank you all for your patient listening. So let us do, like I said, there are certain practices which can be done as a daily practice. Yeah, there is no limitation. Even when you're lying on the bed, you can do the practice. So let us all do a simple practice which is mindful, where you're aware of your breath, where you're aware of the body, and then you feel go into that calm, silent state. So all of you can sit comfortably, let the back be straight. Whole body totally relaxed. Now bring the awareness to the breath. Observe the normal breathing. Watch the breath for a few rounds. Feel the in breath, out breath. Let the breathing continue on its own. Now shift the awareness to the abdomen. You can keep one palm on the abdominal muscles. Watch the abdominal movement. You feel the abdomen bulging out, sinking in. Abdomen bulging out, coming in. Observe the abdominal movement. Just watch the abdominal movement. Abdomen bulging out, sinking in. Now synchronize the breath with the abdominal movement. Inhale, exhale as slowly as possible to your full capacity. Slow, deep breathe in. Feel the abdomen bulging out. As you breathe out, it sinks in. Inhale deeply. Feel the abdomen bulging out. And as you exhale, it sinks in. Continue, synchronize the breath with the abdominal movement. Inhale, abdomen bulges out. As you exhale, it sinks in. Now visualize that as you breathe in, the prana is energizing the whole body. As you breathe out, feel the calmness. Slow, deep breathe in, the whole body is getting energized. As you breathe out, feel the calmness, relaxation. Let's chant 3 rounds of Akara in a low pitch. Feel the vibration of the chanting in the lower portion of the body. Each time breathe in, breathe out, continue with the Akara chanting. Awareness on the abdomen, inhale. Let the breath come back to normal. Continue to feel the calmness, silence. This practice is called the quick relaxation technique. As the name suggests, help you to relax quickly, can be done as a daily practice. So with that, I hope you got a clear understanding of what this Garbha Vidya is all about, the golden period education. So if you have any questions, you can ask. Yes, Aarti?
No, there's just one thing I wanted to add and say that this whole process starts from preconception. Many people think it's only after pregnancy, but actually it's
Yes.
good to prepare the body even before, starting from the time we think of, wanting to have a baby. It's good to prepare our body and our mind from that phase.
Yes. Yeah, correct. So if you have any questions, you can always put in the chat, or you can raise your hand so that we can unmute you and you can ask your question. Yeah, see what Kriya practice can be done. Yeah, so one Kriya is the Ashwini Mudra that we teach. This Ashwini Mudra is a practice which can be done by everybody, yes, and it's very useful for pregnant ladies also, because that helps you to strengthen your pelvic floor muscles. Yeah, so that practice is also called the Kegel exercise. So we teach that. And then sometimes what happens during the first few months of pregnancy, a lot of ladies have this, you have the vomiting issues, yeah, you feel the nausea problem. So for that also we teach a practice called the Vamana Dhauti, where you drink water and then try and vomit out that water. That also helps to ensure that your digestive tract improves. Yeah, the functioning of the digestive tract improves. So these are certain Kriya practice that we do as part of the pregnancy. Aarti, there was a question about the Garbha Vidya.
Yeah, can you explain more about this Garbha Gita?
Yeah.
See, actually, there is a story behind the Garbha Gita. The Lord Devi Parvati, if you know, Skanda, Devi Parvati had a curse that she could not carry the baby in her womb, and hence Skanda or Lord Kartikeya could not be directly in her womb, and she was feeling very bad about it. But still, because the confluence of two great energies of Shiva and Parvati came together, Skanda was a very, very strong energy ball almost. And it was not possible for anybody else to hold that energy ball in the womb, and hence that ball was then distributed and placed on 6 lotuses, and that was the womb for this Skanda. And then Devi Parvati feels bad that she's not carrying the womb and has this conversation. And throughout the conversation, it is all about understanding the basis of Sanatana Dharma in a way, but in a very brief, simple language. It has been given that Garbha Gita is just what we read there was just one portion, the first unit, and there are many such units, almost about 15 units that are there through which we can go through to cover the whole essence of Sanatana Dharma, of how we are a part of the universe, how this body comes into being. And this is a conversation, not just a knowledge taking, but happening between the mother and the child. And hence there is a bond that is created between the mother and the child. And the stronger the bond, the more secure and more loved the child feels, and the life is also just as smooth. I hope that answers that question.
Yes, Aarti. Yeah, thanks for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we will share more details about the course. How do you enroll for the course in our website, yogabharati.org/Bangalore, or you can also like our Facebook page, Yogabharati Bangalore. So we will post more information about the course and other details about the course. We will also, yes, the Garbha Gita will also be available.
There is one more question.
Yeah.
On the 100 days of preconception. 100 days of preconception does come under the GEP, and there is a process. We take you through when we take you through the preconception process, you'll understand that there is a confluence of energies of intent and choosing of the child choosing the parent, and the intention in the universe which comes together. And hence, as part of the preconception process, we do have an intent setting, and if there are any blocks to get, to work on those blocks, and all that is done as part of the preconception process. So the soul entering the womb during fertilization, yes, at a physical level, but the baby is there. There is a spiritual womb also, and the baby is there in the spiritual womb during the preconception phase. I hope that answers that question. It is the entering of the baby in the womb, but the marking of the baby in the spiritual womb, which is beyond the physical womb, is done before the pregnancy. And that's why the preconception phase. Before the conception, and that's why the preconception phase.
Yes, all these learnings, what Aarti said, and there in our, ancient scriptures, the
It's all there
Vedas,
in the
the Upanishads, the Puranas, yes. So it's all based on that.
Mm.
Yes, the soul decides
The
the
soul
parents.
decides
Yes.
on the parents, yes.
So thank you all. Any more questions? So like I said, we will share all the details about the course. How do you go about registering for this course? Yeah, so all the details about the golden period education as well as the yoga practices during these periods, all the details will be shared. Which mudra is safe? Yeah, see, mudra is about like I said, the word mudra is derived from the Sanskrit word mud, which means the joy. So if you can feel the joy within, that is the mudra. Yeah, so there are different mudras. There are asana mudras, hasta mudras. Yeah, so different mudras that we can do. So that will be taught during the course of the yoga practices. But to understand, basic understanding of the mudra is the joy that you can feel within. Yeah, that is what is mudra. Yeah, thank you all. Yeah, you can also send the mail to info@yogabharati.net if you're keen on joining the session so that we can share the Google form. So when you join for the course, you will get to know the understanding of the Garbha Gita.
Aarti, where will we get Garbha Gita? Some people have written.
See, Garbha Gita is a very Shruti Gita, so it has not been recorded. It has come through the Shivanetra lineage, and hence see, I have got this passed to me by Omnia Future. They are my gurus, Omnia Future Ma, Meera Ma, and Babaji there. They are my gurus, and they have passed it on to me. It is not freely available on the internet or anything like that. It is a clear Guru Shishya Parampara through which that you get this. But we take it to others, and hence it will happen also like that through the sessions where we give the Garbha Gita to, impart the Garbha Gita during the sessions.
Yeah.
Can you also let us know, Aarti, that what will, for example, in the golden period education, like Vijaya also had mentioned, what will be covered during the yoga session for people who are interested to join forward. Either it can be people who are thinking of conceiving, who are already conceiving the first child or the second child or further children, or who have just got married and maybe they might be thinking of having a child in the future, or yoga teachers and yoga therapists who might be wanting to gain more insights on GPE as well as yoga session. So what would be your GPE, consisting of? What would it cover?
It will, everybody that you said, it's common for yoga, and anybody, married couples who want to, who are looking to conceive a baby, and people who are pregnant at any phase of pregnancy, and like the yoga teachers, and in fact, I would also say for doctors. I think this knowledge should be aware and made available to doctors, because today that we seem to go a lot for safe cesarean sections and all that. And if once we go through this course in general, there will be a good idea of why we should try and go more with the natural birth. And also it influences when we know that it's not just the mother, but the child also who is a sentient being. There is a separate kind of course which we can take for the doctors also, in a way, with the GP. But there is a preconception program, there will be a pregnancy program, there will be, and pregnancy at any phase, it doesn't matter, any phase of pregnancy. The knowledge always helps the child. Like Vijayaji said, and a child forgets the moment he is born. So a reminder and making that neuronal connection of what we are taking birth for when it is given at the time of, during this golden period, stays with the child for a longer, for the whole life. Does that answer your question, Prabhaji? Or was there more you were looking for?
Yeah, I just wanted one more thing to be conveyed to the public is like, what would be your golden period education, your sessions would consist of, so that people.
Yeah, I thought we put up a slide, but that's not here. So we have a preconception portion and a pregnancy portion. In the preconception portion, typically there would be roughly around 10 sessions that we would be doing. And the pregnancy portion, we would have about 12 sessions. You can keep plus or minus 2 depending upon the people, also a little bit this way, that way. And also which phase people come in at, because like if you come in the 3rd trimester, we might have fewer sessions and the most crucial ones that for that period. So then the sessions might reduce a little. Typically, people would walk in when they come for the session. We would have some chanting. We would have some, like the Garbha Gita meditation, and we would have different activities based on which stage of pregnancy or preconception we are in. We will have the Navarasa Sadhana, or we'll have some mandala meditation, and we'll have certain other activities based on the different educational levels up to, sensorial, creative, and all those kind of things. That's what we will have. So there are 2, a preconception, pregnancy, and any phase of this. Typically, preconception is about 10 sessions, and pregnancy is about 12 to 14 sessions.
Yes, thank you so much. I think that would give clarity to all the people who are watching here. And for everyone, again, yoga, of course, prenatal yoga, like we mentioned, it will be conducted by senior therapists who have experience in giving prenatal yoga sessions to everyone. So whoever is interested, who are keen, whoever are present here in this session today, anyone here either coming in the category of instructors or in the category of anything which Ms. Arati had mentioned, can send us an email, and we are planning, hopefully in the tentative month of September, we might plan this course. So let us know if you are interested. Thank you.
Yeah, and these yoga sessions are also need-based. So again, like Aarti said, if you're coming in the 3rd